Hello! Hello and welcome to the Mighty Companions. The Mighty Companions, where I'm likely to get up and turn off the fan because it's a little bit too noisy right off the top. So we are here today. My name is Glen Morton Ganaway. I'm an interfaith reverend and an integral mentor. That just basically means that I believe that all paths lead to heaven and lead to an awakening if you choose to practice them. And that one of the best ways to be in the world and to manage our growth is the integral perspective. So I'm going to be bringing to you my passion with an integral perspective. I'm going to be bringing you my passion with the knowledge of as many paths and as many examples as I could possibly come up with. We are listening to God Is, Reverend Yolanda, from Reverend Yolanda's Country Gospel Kirtan. It says, God is my constant companion, that I choose peace and I choose joy. Here we are. We are going to be talking today about choosing peace. That's actually on my website. That's when it starts out. It says that the very first thing you see when you go to glenganaway.com is choose peace. And I have as my motto and my tag on my email and my business card, teach peace. And it's the second phase of awakening in A Course in Miracles, and she spends most of chapter 19 talking about peace and talking about the obstacles to peace. She breaks them into 4 different categories that we're going to look at today and talk about, and we're going to try to understand them. Now, this past week, last week, we talked about the foundations that I would call them foundations. We need to get some foundational understandings under our belt and have a foundational understanding of 3 things before we can talk about the obstacles to peace. We have to first understand what faith is, what healing is, and what sin is. We had a few really kind of triggering, kind of deep moments last week, if you remember, when we were talking about the unreality of sin. The unreality of sin here is basically the idea that you can't break God, okay? That we can't do anything that is so heinous that it is unforgivable, the unforgivable sin. Well, the notion of sin itself is a whole paradigm that requests punishment, that causes things to be wrong forever, is irreparable. I call sin the notion in our minds that we can break God, that we can destroy a piece of reality. We can destroy reality, destroy what is real. It's not true. The idea that there is a force out there that's just equal to God's and that is fighting for our soul that could overwhelm us. So that's the idea of the unreality of sin. Then we have to believe in healing. We need to believe in our own healing because we need to believe that we can get better. We need to believe that we can grow and change. So not only that we can grow and change, but that others can grow and change. It's very, very essential that we believe that something can be healed, that our lives can be healed, our relationships can be healed, the relationship with God, the relationship with maybe our family, the relationship with the world, the relationship with ourselves that has to be able to be healed. So we talked about sin, and faith. So the faith is what happens. The faith is always a fruit of what we do. We are either having faith in what doesn't work and try to produce more and more of that, or we have faith in what does work. That faith is the fruit of what we think and how we behave in the world. We actually do have a lot of faith. We have faith that the planet is going to be hurling through space, and this isn't going to be a problem for us. We actually have faith that when we flip the light switch, that the lights are going to come on. Now, we have to have bulbs in there. We're paying our bills, but we don't have to understand electricity in the laws of the laws of electricity. Thermodynamics is the word I was looking for. We don't have to understand thermodynamics of the soft force, or strong force, and soft force, and gravity in order to be able to use electricity or to be able to turn on a car. So we do actually have faith in things. We do actually have all the faith that we need. It's just that what we are placing it in is sometimes a problem. So can you place your faith in the truth? If you will, there is healing for you. And there is healing for you from our fundamental misunderstandings about who we are and our ability to break God. Okay? So last week, we looked at healing in faith, sin versus error, the unreality of sin, and then I did kind of an overview of what the obstacles to peace are. She uses our consciousness like the Tao. Have you ever heard of the Tao? The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. She talked about the obstacles to peace, that we are like water moving over the obstacles. I love that. The image of water is one that Taoism uses a lot. It's spelled different ways, T-A-U and D-A-U. Maybe you've heard of the Tao of Fu. Well, that's all about Taoism. Ursula Le Guin has one of my favorite translations of the Tao Te Ching. And it's she calls reality, she calls God in the Tao water. That is the strongest force, and it always seeks to even everything out, seeks to level everything out, seeks to show us that there are no levels. So she assures us in the Course of Miracles that we will flow over these obstacles, that they are not, I want to say mountains or insurmountable. Now, we're here at chapter 19. We're here at chapter 19. Looking at the obstacles to peace, because we have passed through. The last chapter was called passing the dream. So before that, we were really involved. We've been involved in, through this whole year up until now, the hero's journey, and we need to understand what this basic hero's journey is. It's the realization that we don't want to be where we are. Like David Byrne says, "Oh my God!" He wakes up in his song, "How did I get here?" You know, have you ever had that feeling? You go, "So how did I? What decisions did I make to get here? This isn't what I want." So you have that realization. You find a teacher. You find your friends. You have trials and tribulations. You prepare for the task before you. You accomplish that task. Usually, in like the story of the Holy Grail, or several different stories. Gilgamesh is the classic hero's journey story. The Holy Grail is another one. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz is still another. So we go, and she finds herself and she gets the broom from the witch. Sir Gawain finds the cup from the Last Supper. Gilgamesh slays the dragon and brings he brings the shield home. I think it is. So we do that thing that is ours to do. But what we find is ourselves. What we find is ourselves that is the gift that we're bringing to the world. So we bring back ourselves to the world. Now we share our gifts and we share ourselves with the world. Now in the future we're going to be talking a lot about how to do that. So it's no accident that she brings, at this part of our learning, at this part of our journey, she brings us to a place that says you need to understand what you'll be doing. You will be teaching peace and the obstacles to peace, the obstacles to us experiencing that peace, because peace is here. We're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to go into that a little bit deeper here in just a few minutes. But if peace is here, and our mission is to teach peace in our own specific ways, in the ways that we will teach it, whether it's knitting or being a mother or maybe being a politician or a coach, or, you know, everybody has that passion, that thing that they want to do that nobody has to motivate them to do. My passion is A Course in Miracles. And that's why I am sharing this with you, because I believe this is a valuable way for us to learn about what is stopping us, what prevents us from not only being our authentic selves in the world, but more importantly, sharing our authentic selves with the world. That is your mission. Our place in the world is to share ourselves with others and to be a part of what is real, and that is relationships. So join me in learning about these obstacles to peace. I am using this edition. It is called the Combined Volume, 3rd edition of A Course in Miracles. And I use this as a way of, I use this edition, although there are many. And it says, and so I want to make sure that we have a frame for talking about A Course in Miracles and that we understand where we are and what is going on. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course, and only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at resolving the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing unreal exists. Nothing real can be threatened. And herein lies the peace of God. The peace of God. We're going to be talking about the peace of God today. It's we are looking at chapter 19, and this is how every good book has a way. Well, maybe not every good book. I say that, and I don't actually really know whether that's true or not. I do know that the books that I've studied on philosophy, whether it's Nietzsche or Socrates or Godwin or Proudhon, Hume, Johnson, any of these books, Wilbur, all of these books will tell you how they are to be read. They will tell. It's called hermeneutics. Who's writing? Who are you writing to, and what is the setting that you're writing it in? Well, the Course in Miracles is no different. It wants to be heard. It wants to share itself with the world as much as a book can want. These ideas are actually, I do believe, have motivation that we share that we share these ideas. So they have a motivation to be expressed into the world because they're true, and we are true. So these are aspects of ourselves that are illuminated here. So the Course in Miracles is no different. She gives us instructions. And in the workbook instructions, this is what it says. The overall aim of these exercises is to increase your ability to extend the ideals you will be practicing to include everything. This will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer. Some of the ideas the workbook presents you'll find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling. This does not matter. You are merely asked to apply the ideas as you are directed to do. You are not asked to judge them at all. You're asked only to use them. It is their use that will give them meaning to you and will show you that they are true. Remember only this: you need not believe the ideas. You need not accept them, and you need not even welcome them. Some of them you may actively resist. None of this will matter or decrease their efficacy. But don't allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas the workbook contains, and whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. Nothing more than that is required. So we're going to take these ideas, and we're not going to judge them. We are going to work with our feelings about what feelings come up when we try to apply these ideas. Because if we want to change our life, if we want to understand and bring peace into the world, and the experience of peace into the world, what we will do is use what is true. Are you using what is true? Why do we even come into these rooms? Why do we study A Course in Miracles, or the Torah, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Book of the Dead, the Hopi teachings, the Hopi prophecy, Mikhail Zedek? It really doesn't matter what system we're using. We use all kinds of books that we want to gain knowledge from. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Crowley. Or we have, lots and lots and lots of things. The books on democracy by David Graeber. So why do we look at these books? Why do we study what we study? Because we want to apply the ideas that are contained in them. So let's make a commitment right now to not judge the ideas, and to bring these ideas into use in our own lives, and see if they're true. So we're going to see if they're true. The first concept here that I'd like to bring to your attention is we're going to look at the 4. Last week we did Healing and Faith, Sin versus Error, the Unreality of Sin, and a little reading overview called The Obstacles to Peace. This week we're going to be doing sections 5 through 12. So we're going to be burning through this. Okay, we got 45 minutes, and we're going to go kind of quickly. But this is my favorite chapter, so it's going to be interesting and it's going to be fun. I'm really excited about sharing my favorite chapter with you, the favorite sections of my favorite chapter, actually. And I have a unique way of talking about this. Section 5 is called the first obstacle, the desire to get rid of it. And section 6 is called the attraction of guilt. Section 7 is the second obstacle, and it's the belief the body is valuable for what it offers. And section 8 is called the attraction of pain. The third obstacle is section 9. It's called the attraction of death. Section 10 is entitled the incorruptible body. Section 11 is called the fourth obstacle. It's called the fear of God. And section 12 is lifting the veil. I'm going to be reading a longish passage from Lifting of the Veil, because I think it's particularly beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. So in order to get to that really beautiful sort of meditation at the very end about lifting the veil, so I want you to understand. See, this is where the tradition, the Western tradition, the Western Christian tradition is being used here to deliver this non-dual message, this message of not two but one, this Advaita message. So in order for us to experience what is one, what is already here, what is reality, we need to understand these 4 things. The first is called peace, and your desire to get rid of it. And I lightly call this the first obstacle. I call first obstacle to peace is you don't want it, right? The first obstacle to peace is you don't want it, mostly because you don't know it when it's here. Let's listen to what it says. The first obstacle the peace must flow across is your desire to get rid of it, for it cannot extend unless you keep it. You are the center from which it radiates outward to call others in. You are its home, its tranquil place from which it gently reaches out, but never leaving you. If you would make it homeless, how could it abide within the Son of God? If it would spread across all creation, it must begin with you, and from you reach to everyone who calls and brings him rest by joining you. Let peace begin with me. This is my holy vow. So peace begins with us, and it radiates out from us. But there's a little insane wish that wishes to get rid of it. to get rid of our kind, innocent nature. We call that a real problem. I mean, we say she's too giving. We say it was her innocence that got her into so much trouble. Take a look at those ideas. The little insane wish to get rid of him whom you invited in and push him out must produce conflict, right? That's the Holy Spirit. That's our kindness. That's our brother. The little insane wish to get rid of him who invited you in and push him out must produce conflict. As you look upon the world, this little wish, uprooted and floating aimlessly, can land and settle briefly upon anything, for it has no purpose now. Before the Holy Spirit entered to abide with you, it seemed to have a mighty purpose, the fixed and unchangeable dedication to sin and its results. Now it's aimless, wandering pointlessly, causing no more than tiny eruptions in love's appeal. Tiny eruptions in love's appeal. We try to get rid of peace and joy and happiness because we feel vulnerable in those times, right? We feel vulnerable when we're ourselves, when we're laughing, when we're having a good time, when we don't have to look over our shoulder or be anxious. That's actually who we are. And that's the peace that she's talking about. And that really isn't a problem. That's how it's supposed to be. But we have people in the world, we have our culture, that say things like, get real. This is a dangerous, scary place. This is a dangerous, scary world we live in. No, the belief that it's dangerous and scary makes it dangerous and scary. Just think about these ideas. The feather of a wish, this feather of a wish to get rid of peace. This feather of a wish that you don't want it. This feather of a wish that peace is not safe or not cool or is impossible. This feather of a wish, this tiny illusion, this microscopic remnant of the belief in sin, it's always a belief in sin, is all that remains of what once seemed to be the world, right? The obstacle to peace, first obstacle to peace we need to get over is that we don't value it. We don't think it's really what we want, or it's going to bring us happiness, or that it's even possible to have. It's the belief in something being broken forever. It's the belief in that whole paradigm of punishment in which sin resides. It's no longer an unrelenting barrier to peace. Its pointless wandering makes its results appear to be more erratic and unpredictable than before. Yet, what could be more unstable than a tightly organized delusional system? Sin is a delusional system. That this is a broken world is a delusional system. That you're being punished by being here is a delusional system. Its seeming stability is its pervasive weakness, which extends to everything. The variability of the little remnant induces merely okay. The variability of the little remnant merely indicates its limited results. That it's surface deep. This fear, this idea that peace is unacceptable, this idea that peace is impossible, that our own peaceful nature, that we could be peaceful all the time, no matter what is happening, no matter the storm that is happening. That the idea that that's impossible, or that we aren't, that isn't our nature, has to be overcome. The first obstacles of peace is that we need to admit our desire to get rid of it, about how uncomfortable it makes us. And I would add to that, because we don't even recognize it when it's here. We think peace is when nothing is happening. But that's not the truth, is it? Just think about these ideas. Section 6, the corollary to this, is called the attraction of guilt, and this is where our addictions lie. We don't want peace because we don't want to give up guilt. Guilt is really powerful. I've told this story before. Maybe you've heard me tell this story. There's a habit in Catholicism, especially the way it's practiced in the Western world, that for Lent is the like a month, 60 days, I think, a month before Easter. It happens in the spring. Mardi Gras is the last day before Lent, and you have Lent through until Easter. So you're supposed to give up something to remind you of the sacrifice that Jesus made. the way the story is told in Orthodox Catholicism, from what I understand. I didn't grow up Catholic, but we did Lent. So I was in the store here, and we were talking I was talking to my husband Yolanda, and we were talking about Lent. And the woman behind us says, "Oh, what did you give up for Lent? Or are you practicing Lent? What are you giving up for Lent?" And I said, "Guilt." And she was shocked. She was genuinely shocked, because she says, "I never give up guilt." And in a straight face, she goes, "It's too, it works too much for me. It's the only way I motivate my husband and my children." We learned this very early on, that guilt is a powerful force. It's not. That we learned that guilt is real and that guilt is good. It's not. It destroys relationships, relationship to God, relationship with each other, relationship to ourselves. But we have this great attraction to it. And this is the secret. They're finding out now. There's all kinds of research that are coming out that's turning the addiction sciences on their head. They're saying that guilt, stress, that whole lack of empathy, even more than with the ideas that we put into self-esteem, guilt, shame, stress, anxiety. Those things are what causes addiction, and addictions are more about self-medicating against those feelings. So think about this. It's called the attraction of guilt, and it's the corollary to you don't want peace. Why? Because you want guilt. This is what it says. Relationships in this world are often the result of how the world is seen. And this depends on which emotion was called on to send its messengers to look upon it and return the word of what we saw. Fear's messengers are trained through terror, and they tremble when their master calls to them to serve them. For fear is merciless even to its friends. Its messengers steal guiltily away in hungry search of guilt, for they are kept cold and starving and made very vicious by their master, who allows them to feast only upon what they return to him. No little shred of guilt escapes their hungry eyes, and in their savage search for sin, they pounce on any living thing they see, and carry it, screaming to their master, to be devoured. We are looking often at the world, trying to find guilt in others to exploit. We think that our guilt shows on our faces. Maybe it does. But this is what we're attracted to. We're actually looking for it. And what you look for, you'll find, she says here. What you look for, you will experience. The Holy Spirit has given you love's messengers to send instead to those you trained for fear. They are as eager to return to you what they hold dear as are the others. If you send them forth, they will see only the blameless and the beautiful, the gentle and the kind. How's that first name for soap opera? The blameless and the beautiful. Now, ladies and gentlemen, back to the blameless and the beautiful, the gentle and the kind. I'd watch that. They will be these messengers of love that we send out. See, we can send out messengers of fear and guilt, or that we can send out messengers of love. The messengers of love will be as careful to let no little act of charity, no tiny expression of forgiveness, no little breath of love escape their notice. And they will return with all the happy things they found, to share them lovingly with you. Be not afraid of them. They offer you salvation. Theirs are the messages of safety, for they see the world as kind. That's why they often say, can you go 30 days without complaining? The best way to get out of a funk is through gratitude. The best way to be given more is to appreciate what you have. All those things are expression of this idea. When you complain about everything and nothing's ever enough, you're looking at the world through eyes of fear and guilt and shame. So, You get through the second obstacle here. Second obstacle is called the belief the body. The belief the body is what it. The belief the body is valuable for what it offers. The belief that the body is valuable for what it offers. Now, this is the way I paraphrase this is you broke God. And this is why. You'll see. You broke God. And that's the way I use sin. But what's the main thing? What's the main thing you gotta have in order to what's the main thing that you have to have in order to sin? A body. You need a body. You know, you need a nose, you know, you need to have hands to do something wrong, right? You need a body. So this is why I say you broke God. See, we think we could be God by doing something with our bodies. We can destroy reality. It gets kind of I don't mean to make light, but to me this is sounding more and more childish and immature. So listen to what it says. We said that peace must first surmount the obstacle of your desire to get rid of it. Where the attraction of guilt holds sway, peace is not wanted. The second obstacle the peace must flow across, and closely related to the first, is the belief that the body is valuable for what it offers. For here is the attraction of guilt made manifest in the body and seen in it. Okay, this is the value you think. This is the value you think peace would rob you of. It would rob you of your body. I don't want peace. There would be no more pleasure in the world. I'd never be able to have sex again. I can't have peace. I'd never be able to laugh again. I'd never have peace. I'll become boring. I don't want peace because nothing ever happens. Those are beliefs that the body is doing things to you, that the world is doing things to you, that the body body. What is it? Yes, that the body is valuable for what it offers. What's this body offering you? Okay, this is the value you think peace would rob you of. This is what you believe that it would dispossess and leave you homeless. And it is for this you wish to deny a home to peace. This sacrifice of your body, of feelings, and emotions and pleasure, this sacrifice that it seems to be too great. It's just too much to ask, she says. Is this a sacrifice or a release? What has the body really given you that justifies your strange belief in it, that in it lies salvation? You're trying to, let's be honest, you're trying to drink or drug or sex yourself into feeling better. Trying to save you from yourself, maybe your habits or who you are. I want to be saved from who I am. I don't like who I am. You're looking for salvation through all of these things. Do you think that's really going to be brought to us as a soul quality of the body? Just do you? You need to know that that's what we're doing. So do you not see that this is the belief in death? Here's the focus of the perception of atonement as murder. If I become one with everything, I'm going to disappear. And I don't want to give up myself. I don't want to give up my little self, my little opinions. I don't want to give any of that up. It's just too big of a sacrifice to be one with God. I'll have to wear orange, and I'll have to shave my head, and I'll be boring. And those are all beliefs in a body. Those are all things in a body. I won't be able to laugh anymore. I won't have a sense of humor. It's too great a sacrifice to be one with God, because God certainly isn't funny. God certainly isn't joyous and happy and free. God's, boring, right? Nothing happens. That might not be true. You might not know what peace looks like. You might not know what joy feels like. You might not know what truth feels like. What we're asking for is not to die. And that's a strange belief. If you think you're just a body, this is the way we think we're just a body. Here's the focus of the perception of the atonement as murder. Here's the source of the idea that love is fear. I'm afraid to love you. If I love you, it means that you have control over my body. Not true. Nobody, you don't hand the power of your body over to anyone, I hope. Nobody has the power to tell you what to do with your body, I hope. Now, hurting other bodies, certainly we have a reason to think that this other body certainly has a, there are rights that like kind of stalemate that out when we try to hurt each other, right? But nobody has the right to tell you how your body needs to be shaped, what color it needs to be, what your haircut needs to be, what attractive is, what ugly is, what value is. You don't have to prove yourself no matter what kind of body that you have. Those ideas are a belief that you're just a body. Forgive me your illusions. She says here, and I'll say it to you as the Christ, as our highest mind, forgive me your illusions and release me from all the punishment of what I haven't done. Make this world into like a more pleasurable place for you. So you will learn the freedom that I taught by teaching freedom to your brother and so releasing me. I am within your holy relationship, yet you would imprison me behind the obstacles you raise to freedom and bar my way to it. Yet it is not possible to keep away the one who is there already. And in him it is possible that our communication, where we are joined already, will be the focus of the new perception that will bring light to all the world contained in you. Light to all the world. Where is the light to all the world? When I forgive the world for not being more of a pleasure palace for me. When I choose to be in relationship with you, where all love and fulfillment is actually happening, and that is where the light of the world is. If we can let go of the belief that the body is valuable for what it offers. And that's kind of the belief in sin. So she goes into section 8, not without precedent, the attraction of pain, right? So it's very simple, very, very, very simple. She spends almost no time on this at all. She says, your little part is but to give the Holy Spirit the whole idea of sacrifice. Give the Holy Spirit the whole idea of sacrifice. Sacrifice is not true. Sacrifice is never required. It's not a sacrifice. Get the idea of sacrifice out of your head. Work at doing that. It is worth doing. Guilt is never worth it. Shame is never worth it. This idea of being attracted to pain is all of these things are wrapped up in our belief that sacrifice actually gets us somewhere. Actually, sacrifice is the way things are. That I'm so awful that somebody had to die and be tortured forever in hell in order for me to have to live in pleasure, to live in eternity in pleasure. That doesn't make sense. That somebody has to be in pain in order for me to be in pleasure. Somebody has to be in pain and to be suffered and tortured for me to be okay. Because I'm so awful, these things have to be paid for. Some scale has to be balanced. It's not true. It can't be true. That can't be God. We have an attraction to pain, and we feel guilt, and we have this weird, Young spelled all of this out. We have this weird belief that if we hurt ourselves, if we hurt somebody else, and they get punished for it, that the punishment for us will be less. We do that even to ourselves, and we punish ourselves so that the world won't punish us. This is all a belief in sacrifice, because we can't believe that we don't have to do those things. Now, we do have to learn from them. Sin versus error, right? We do have to learn from them and make corrections and take responsibility, but there's no sacrifice involved. Your little part is to give the Holy Spirit the whole idea of sacrifice and to accept the peace he gives instead, without the limits that would hold you and its extension back, and so would limit your awareness of it. For what he gives must be extended if you would have its limitless power, and use it for the Son of God's release. It is not this that you would be rid of, and having it. Is it not this you would be rid of? This guilt, right? Is it not this you would be rid of, and having it you cannot limit it. If peace is homeless, so are you, and so am I. And he who is home is homeless with us. Is this your wish? Would you forever be a wanderer in search of peace? Would you invest your hope of peace and happiness in what must fail? the belief that a body, you could need to spending all your efforts in being comfortable and experiencing pleasure. Is it possible to seek for it is impossible. This is the final point. It is impossible to seek for pleasure through the body and not find pain. It is impossible to seek for pleasure through the body and not find pain. It is essential that this relationship be understood, for it is one the ego sees as proof of sin. It is not really punitive at all. It is but the inevitable result of equating yourself with the body, which is the invitation to pain. For it invites fear to enter and become your purpose, to be afraid. The attraction of guilt must enter with it, and whatever fear directs the body must do, it is therefore painful. It will share the pain of all illusions, and the illusions of pleasure will all be the same as pain. You pursue pain and you pursue pleasure, you will get pain. So the idea is not to pursue this. We got two more sections here. How you doing? Got about 20 minutes to go. We found out that, first of all, that we don't really know what peace is. First obstacle is the desire to get rid of it because of our attraction to guilt. The second obstacle is the belief the body has something valuable that you want, like sin, and it's because of our attraction to pain and our desire to punish other people. So the third is goes right into it. It says, follows directly is the third obstacle to peace. Section 9, the attraction of death. Bum, 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 the attraction of death. And I'm going to read you. It's a very, very, very small chapter. I think it's the smallest one in the book. It's only 2 paragraphs. It says, to you and your brother, in whose special relationship the Holy Spirit entered, it is given to release and be prepared for the dedication to death. For it was offered you, and you accepted. Yet you must learn still more about this strange devotion, for it contains the third obstacle that peace must flow across. No one can die unless he chooses death. No one can die unless he chooses death. And what seems to be the fear of death is really its attraction. Guilt, too, is feared and fearful, yet it can have no hold at all, except on those who are attracted to it and seek it out. And so it is with death. Made by the ego, its dark shadow falls across all living things, because the ego is the enemy of life. And yet, a shadow cannot kill. What is a shadow to the living? But they walk past, and it is gone. But what of those whose dedication is not to live? The black-draped sinners, the ego's mournful chorus, plodding so heavily away from life, and dragging their chains and marching in this slow procession that honors their grim master, Lord of Death. Touch one of them with the gentle hands of forgiveness, and watch the chains fall away. Along with yours. See him throw back the black robe he was wearing to his funeral, and hear him laugh at death. The sentence sin would lay upon him, he can escape through your forgiveness. This is no arrogance, it's the will of God. What is impossible to you who choose his will as yours? What is death to you? Your dedication is not to death, nor to its master. When you accepted the Holy Spirit's purpose in place of the ego's, you renounced death and exchanged it for life. We know that an idea leaves not its source, and death is the result of a thought we call the ego. It surely as life is the result of the thought of God. Love that. Life is the result of the thought of God. Living things are the result of the thought of God. So things that are true don't die. What is real exists. What is unreal doesn't exist. And we can't threaten what's real. We can only threaten what's unreal, which means, that's the whole thing about death. I'm laughing because I see this so different now than when I first started it. When I first started this, and I hope maybe that you will too. These ideas have changed my life. The idea that death, that my belief I'm a body, makes me fearful of letting it go. Makes me think that in order to experience heaven, I have to sacrifice my body. In order to have anything nice, I have to make sure that I don't have something equally nice It's mean. That is such a mean idea. That is so angry and mean. Isn't it possible that peace could be here for everyone? That somebody doesn't have to suffer for my peace? Is it possible that my happiness wouldn't require somebody else to suffer? Do I have to suffer so that somebody else can be happy? No. No, 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 no. The third obstacle is our belief, is our attraction to death. We have attraction to guilt, we have attraction to shame, we have attraction to death, because we want to be, we don't want to give up ourselves, and we don't want to be ourselves all at the same time. Quite a little dilemma. You might want to figure out what you need to do, what skills you might need to develop that would make it okay to be you. Got 15 minutes left in the show. I want to get through this. We're going to start with the fourth obstacle here, the fear of God, and then I'm going to read you the lifting of the veil. But this belief in this attraction to death is contrary to the section 10. The corollary to that is your incorruptible body. You have another dedication that would keep the body incorruptible and perfect, as long as it is useful to your holy purpose. The body no more dies than it can feel. It does nothing. Of itself, it is neither corruptible nor incorruptible. It's nothing. It's the result of a tiny mad idea of a corruption that can be corrected. For God has answered this insane idea with one of his own, an answer which left him not, and therefore brings the Creator to the awareness of every mind which heard its answer and accepted it. So it's like God's telling you who you are all the time. You're not this body, you are free. We're free to be, you and me. And it's kind of important. I'm grateful for you. You who are dedicated to the incorruptible. The Incorruptibles. That maybe we'll start a TV show and call it The Incorruptibles, because that's what you are. Your body certainly isn't corruptible or incorruptible. But you aren't. You're not corruptible. You're not corrupt. You can't get it wrong, and you're never done, says Ms. Abraham. You who are dedicated to the incorruptible have been given through your acceptance the power to release from corruption. Who doesn't want that? The power to I release you from your belief in corruption. I release you from trying to corrupt yourself and others. If you need my permission. What better way to teach the first and most fundamental principle of A Course in Miracles than by showing you the one that seems to be the hardest can be accomplished first? The body can but serve your purpose. As you look upon it, so it will seem to be. Death, were it true, would be the final and complete disruption of communication, which is the ego's goal. We want a body so we can hide from God. We don't want a body so that we can hide from God. It's because of our fear of God, which brings us to section 11. The fourth obstacle is the fear of God. Why do we fear God? Well, we're doing all these nasty things with each other. We're corrupting our bodies and others. We're so good at it that we manage to somehow break reality, break God. We feel terrible, but we certainly don't want to be punished. We can't correct who we are because we're these awful things. Ugh. So what does God have to do in that situation? Where's God in all of that? This is the darkest veil, she says. This is the darkest veil, upheld by the belief in death and protected by its attraction. The dedication to death and to its sovereignty is but a solemn vow, the promise made in secret to the ego to never lift this veil and not approach it, and even to expect that it is there, sir. This is the secret bargain made with the ego to keep what lies beyond the veil forever blotted out and unremembered, sir. Here is your promise, never to allow the union you call out for separation, sir. This is the great amnesia in which the memory of God seems to be quite forgotten, sir. The cleavage of yourself from you is the fear of God, the final step in your dissociation. We make this vow. I don't want to look within. I don't want to know who I am because I can't. No, nothing good is going to come of that. No, nothing good is going to come of that. I won't look within. I won't find out who I am. I'm going to believe I'm this evil, nasty thing, and that I'm going to continue to believe that it sucks to be me. And it's a vow. We could be offering the truth of the knowledge. There's even all kinds of psychological papers out here that'll tell you that you're quite lovely, that altruism and mutualism are your default settings, that joy and sympathy are where we operate, that empathy is the greatest superpower on the earth. Tons and tons and tons of studies. I mean, don't even take my word for it. Go look for yourself about what even secular science, what even secular social sciences and science says about who we are, says about what human nature is. Just look. We don't believe it. We make a vow that can't be true. Every obstacle that peace must flow across is surmounted just in this same way. The fear that raised it yields to love beyond, and so the fear is gone. And so it is with this. The desire to get rid of peace and drive the Holy Spirit from you fades in the presence of the quiet recognition that you love God, that you love yourself, and that you love your brothers. The exaltation of the body is given up in favor of spirit, which is the love that you could never, which is a love that you could never have for your body. The appeal of death is lost forever as love's attraction stirs and calls to you. And beyond each of the obstacles to love, love itself has called, and each has been surmounted by the power of the attraction of what lies beyond. Your wanting fear seemed to be holding you in place, yet when you heard the voice of love beyond them, you answered, and they disappeared. This is called the lifting of the veil, and it's quite beautiful. And I'm going to try to get through it in these last 8 minutes. It says, forget not that you came this far together, you and your brother. And it was surely not the ego that led you here. No obstacle to peace can be surmounted through its help. It does not open up its secrets and bid you look upon them and go beyond them. It would not have you see its weakness and learn it has no power to keep you from the truth. The guide who brought you here remains with you here. And when you raise your eyes, you'll be ready to look on terror with no fear at all. But first, lift up your eyes and look on one another. Look on one another in innocence, born of complete forgiveness of each other's illusions, and through the eyes of faith that see them not. Free your brother here, as I have freed you. Give him the self-same gift, nor look upon him with condemnation of any kind. See him as guiltless as I look upon you, and overlook the sins he thinks he sees within himself. Offer your brother freedom and complete release from sin here in the garden of seeming agony and death. So will we prepare together the way into the resurrection of God's Son, and let him rise again to glad remembrances of his Father, who knows no sin, who knows no death, but only shares life eternal. Together we will disappear into the presence beyond the veil, not to be lost, but to be found, not to be seen, but to be known. And knowing, nothing in God's plan has established for salvation will be left undone. This is the journey's purpose, without which the journey is meaningless. Here is the peace of God given to you eternally by him. Here is the rest and quiet that you seek, the reason for the journey from the beginning. Heaven is the gift you owe your brother. The debt of gratitude you offer the Son of God in thanks for what he is and for what your Father created him to be. Think carefully how you would look upon the giver of this gift. For as you look upon him, so will the gift itself appear to be. As he is seen as either the giver of guilt or salvation, so will his offering be seen, and so will the offering be received. The crucified give pain, because they're in pain. But the redeemed give joy, because they have been healed of pain. Everyone gives as he receives. But he must choose what it will be and what he receives. And he will recognize his choice by what he gives and by what is given him. Nor is it given anything in hell or heaven to interfere with this decision. You came this far because this journey was your choice. And no one undertakes what he believes to be meaningless. You had faith in you do have faith, and you are still faithful. And what watches over you in faith so gentle and so strong that it lifts you beyond the veil and places you, the Son of God, safely within the sure protection of our Father. Here is the only purpose that gives this world this long journey. The long journey through this world, whatever meaning it lies, whatever meaning lies within it. Beyond this, our lives are meaningless. Beyond this, the journey is meaningless. We stand together, still without conviction. We have purpose, yet it is given you to see this purpose in your holy friend and recognize it as your own. Let me be that holy friend for you. Please know that you are deeply cared for, that there is a purpose and a passion out in the world for you, that there is a community of friends and chosen family and family just waiting to take your hand and help you do the really, really difficult and the really, really necessary task of learning about who you are. Please look within. Please take the consciousness that God has established in you. Trust that healing. And trust that healing to flow over all these really, really bad ideas. The bad idea that you can break God, that you can't be healed, and that you are broken and will be broken forever. It's not true. It's a bad idea that your faith in who you are and practicing these ideas will help you flow across. Let go of the idea that the body is bringing you anything that you want. Our bodies are learning devices. Our bodies are doors of information. They are not the thing itself. We participate in reality. We are the relationship that we seek. Join me and others in this relationship, in this present moment, because it is here we teach peace. It is here where peace can be found. It is here where all the knowledge and all the power is. It's in your innocence. Allow me to reflect and reflect this innocence for you. There is not enough time in the world for you to get over all the guilt that you have. Do it today by practicing that guilt has no place in your life, shame has no place in your life, and that sacrifice is meaningless. I am Reverend Glen and I'm an integral mentor and an interfaith pastor. I live in Brooklyn, New York. My passion for A Course in Miracles, I think, is evident, and I enjoy sharing it with you. I'm so glad that you have chosen to spend this hour on a Saturday with me. I enjoy doing this. My message is that you are great. We need you to be great, because the world is no place I want to live in if it doesn't contain you. Have a great evening.
Today is a brand new day to look at life in a different way. Today is a brand new day to look at life in a different way. Because God is. God is my constant companion. God is, well, God is my constant companion. God is, well, I choose heaven. God is, I choose love. God is, I choose joy. I choose joy because God is. Well, today